Hey everybody, it's Alexis with Create Your Future. I am back with a brand new video. Happy Monday. And today I have a client success story that will clear up some misconceptions, questions I get about manifesting, and just my basic information about how to change anything, recreate anything, and how to really focus on what you want. And what is affirming, right? What is the mental diet? What creates and what transmits and what helps you manifest in the best, quickest, fastest way possible with your specific person and creating the relationship that you're really desiring in 2024. Okay. Before I get started, the links to booking one-on-one coaching, one-on-one hypnosis, and all of my courses, pre-recorded audios for hypnosis are in the box below. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Okay. So you guys, let's talk about this. First of all, I want to say that if you're doing a bunch of manifesting things and you think that you're living in the end and you're doing everything correctly, but your specific person wants nothing to do with you, doesn't want to be with you, has expressed that they're disinterested in a relationship, just like this client, but you're living in the end of already being in it, but nothing's happening in your 3D. Let's talk about this and let's talk about how to get movement, how to change that, how to recreate the person, how to use this example also, like if you're just wondering what's going on, nothing's happening, I'm not seeing anything, my manifestations aren't coming through, I'm not seeing movement, etc., like that. So I first of all want to say that the basics, you guys, of your reality are that thoughts are things, thoughts create, and thoughts transmit out to your reality. So if I'm saying this and you think that this is a video like about affirming or about affirmations, yes, it is. But thoughts create, thoughts are things. And that is the way to look at any scenario. Okay. Is what have I been thinking? What have I been focusing on? What am I thinking? What am I focusing on? What am I thinking? What am I focusing on? What am I thinking? What am I focusing on? Because where your focus is right now doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's showing up out there. But if you're basing your thoughts right now on what is showing up right out there or what's going on, then that is usually the problem. Okay. So this client came to me who manifested her specific person, telling her what she wanted to hear, being adored, being cherished, receiving the commitment. He brought up the relationship talk first, and they went from it not happening at all. He was upwards, backwards, north, south, east, and west. And then she couldn't really figure out what to focus on. Now I said to her, okay, what have you been doing to consciously recreate? Because she was fairly versed on what she was doing. I said, what are you doing to change his mind, change his perspective? And she said, well, nothing, because I'm living in the end of being in the relationship. And if I'm in the relationship, I shouldn't have to do that. And I said, oh, okay, but tell me, I said, I get it, but tell me right now, what does he think of you? What did he most recently tell you? Is what I said. I said, so you told me you talked to him like 10 days ago. What did he say? What did he say? And she said, well, he told me, because I asked him, he said, he's not ready for commitment. He doesn't want to be in a relationship. He's not really into me. He's never been the relationship guy. He's never been the guy who commits. He just doesn't like the whole thing. He's unsure about marriage. And I said, okay, great. That's great information. I said, so let me ask you again, what are we thinking about how to change it? Or what have you been doing in your mind to rechange, recreate, rework this scenario? She said, oh, okay, so like I already said, like people are very funny, right? Especially about relationships. She said, well, I'm living in the end. Like, I understand that I'm the creator of my reality. So like we're already in the relationship. We're already married. Oh, she said, I've done an end scene of us already being married. And I said, okay, well, I said, do you want us to talk about what to do to really get movement, to really see change? And she said, yes. I said, okay, so if you're living in the end, that's great, because most of us need to be living from the end of somewhere. But I said, how about if we're living in the end of it's working out, he's calling me, he's changing his mind, he's planning dates with me, he's all about me all the time. And I said, wouldn't that be a little bit easier? Yeah. She said, oh my gosh, like, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to think that? She said, because I've watched all these videos and I've heard all this information about how I should be living in the end of what I really want. And I said, well, the thing about your mind is that we are trying to saturate your mind, from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind with what you want. Now, for a lot of people, if you go too far into the future and you're living in the end of some unknown scenario, some far off place, your mind will tend to overthink it, outthink it. And then it's not as if you can't do it that way, you guys. I'm not saying that, but there's usually a lot of resistance because we're not even close to that in the physical 3D reality. So like, you know, if you want to get movement with your specific person, if you want to see it happening, if that would help encourage you, then this is for you too. Because I would feel very frustrated if it was me, if I was living in the end of some scenario, being married and like nothing was happening. And someone was telling me like, I don't like you. I want nothing to do with you. You know, like you, things I've heard over the years. You smell bad. I don't like you. But you know, gosh, those are mean things for me to say out loud. I am not intending them for me or for anyone, but if you're hearing stuff like that, or you're just hearing the things, right? I don't want commitment. I'm not a commitment person. I've never seen myself getting married. I don't want that. And you want that. Let's get clear and specific on thinking about what you want. You have to change your thoughts. If you're just living in the end of a scenario and like not really affirming for what you want, that's probably why you're not getting a lot of movement. Now, if affirming and doing affirmations, I'm going to clear this up right here. Affirmations, a thought that you've seen in a book that are like a list of affirmations, like Louise Hay was the first one who created Hay Publishing. She created affirmations like, I am rich, I am healthy, I am beautiful. Now, the idea of the word that most of us have of affirmations is like saying it once. But what I'm talking about is, what are you thinking? What are you affirming for all of the time? What are you thinking? What are you affirming for all of the time? What are you thinking? What are you affirming for all of the time? My son Logan could be here. He would do this, you guys. Right now, his favorite thing when we hear music is to do like this. I think that my husband did that. I don't do this, but isn't that funny? It's so cute. Just adding in some humor because this is a lovable, fun topic, right? Yeah. So affirming the mental diet is not a list of affirmations. I am rich. I am this. I am that. No. If you are leery of or weary of doing affirmations because they put you into anxiety, I've heard that a lot before. We want to change our thoughts about life in general and be in control of our thoughts, right? So if right away you hear the word affirmation and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that, we have to change that thought also. Like, to be honest, you guys, there are so many little thoughts that we need to catch with a specific person and stories that we need to change, that I understand that it causes anxiety, but it's not super. It is just the thoughts you're thinking. It is just that I think, and I hear like a lot of people just aren't doing these right now. This should be like a light moment, like an, oh my God, Alexis, this is so great, because maybe you haven't been affirming. Maybe you've been in the mental diet of like self-apathy, despair, depression, anxiety, worry. Worry is anxiety about the future, worry about people, worry about things, which most of us can be living in all of the time. And a lot of people spend a lot of time in chronic worry, chronic mental pain, chronic mental anguish, chronic anxiety, because the thoughts that they're thinking seem so normal of like, oh, this is going to happen, or he'll do that, or that will happen, or this. And we want to say, no, you guys, like, you can be in control of your thoughts, in control of what you're thinking. If you need help to understand how to stay on track with your exact thoughts, exact situation, scenario with your SP, book a session, we can talk about it, because this is also general information, right? I can't give you cookie cutter affirmations of what one person did, how to apply it, and then magically it will happen. It works for some people, but a lot of people, we need fine tuning, because there's like this client, to go back to her, what she had also going on were a lot of things that she said to me, like, well, Alexis, you know how men are, men. And I said, and I'm always saying, okay, tell me, what do you think in this scenario meant to be? You want to look at her, okay, your specific person is X, Y, and Z. He is, in this case, he worked like in, bartending, but it was like a different level. Like, but it was like he managed people. Like, it wasn't like he was a bartender at a bar, but he managed like mixology and things like that. But he was around a lot of people. I said, so that archetype of a man, of a person, let's think about, what do you think about that? Let's think about, what do you think about men in general? Like, literally, what are the ideas? What are the assumptions that you're holding within you about the person that you like? Like, over the years, I have classically had so many clients that are manifesting and trying to recreate a person who is testosterone driven. This is you. I get it. Totally get it from my own journey. A guy who's a guy's guy, right? A guy who we think is so masculine. He's so masculine. He doesn't want commitment. He's so masculine. The other one I hear a lot. He's so masculine. He just like needs a bunch of women. He's so masculine. He's so testosterone driven. You know, Alexis, like, he's testosterone driven. So he gets mad and he does this and he doesn't want commitment, this whole friggin' thing. Okay. Without going into the story of what these things are, what I want you to do, if you're listening to this, is who is this guy? Who is this guy? Who is this gal? Who are they? Who is this person in my reality? What associations, what have I attached to them that create who they are? Because you guys, you created all of it. You manifested all of it. I know it's bonkers. I know it's crazy. I know it's out there, but you did. The thing we want to do is go for results here, right? That's what this whole thing is about. Getting in the relationship, having fun, having a good time, getting along most of the time, and having yourself be like a 90% happy most of the time. I mean, I look at it like 90-10 because things happen in the physical reality and we are going for happiness, love, harmony, connection almost all the time, right? And then we leave 10% for, oh, that happened, right? Let me rework my thoughts, rework my mental diet, and create, from my level of consciousness and being, harmony, things getting better and better. We're getting through this. Okay, I am not trying to go off on a tangent. What I'm saying is, if you have a person in your reality who you've created, first of all, if you're recreating them, look at who they are. This is not rocket science, but it does take some diligence and looking at who they are. I do this with clients one-on-one all the time. Okay, tell me who he is. And no, it's like, no, I need to hear who he is to understand what you created so that I can learn how to, and I can guide you to recreate the person. Because oftentimes people are trying to, like, let's say John, right? Oh, he loves me. He's all about me. I'm his favorite person. He's obsessed with me. All he thinks about me morning, noon, and night, right? They're affirming. And I hear it because they've said that, or they're living in the end of that, like in this client scenario, right? And I'm like, okay, like, who else is he though? Like, what's keeping him? Tell me what's keeping him from being that. And it's like, oh my gosh, Alexis, well, you know, like, he tends to spend a lot of time with his guy friends, and his guy friends tell him that he shouldn't be with me. And they do a lot of drinking, and then I don't hear from him for 2 days. Just a scenario. Okay. And it's like, okay, great. So we want to either, you guys, I am creating health, that my cough is over. It is still here, residual happening. It's getting better though. It's getting better. Okay. So it's, anyways, I'm like, okay, so great. So this guy, what we need to do is be thinking either he is around friends that support him, support our relationship, that support his well-being, like as an example. Okay. And that even when he's hungover, he calls me all the time, it not being a block. Okay. Oftentimes we have blocks about the person that we're not really aware of because we think like, oh, that's just who they are. That is who they are. Well, the funny thing about that is that your reality is energy. It is energy that is movable, changeable, based upon your thoughts. The moment that you become aware of who the person is, it actually begins to give like a highlight, like a focus and awareness on who that person is. And then you change the thoughts, and that's how they change, right? Everyone exists within you. It's just fine tuning, getting specific and getting clear. So like with this client, to go back to it, we created what she was going to think about. And I said, this should not give you anxiety. This should not give you worry because it's just thoughts you're thinking. What I don't want you to do is change your thoughts, affirming for what you want, and then looking for it. Because the looking for it, the wondering, where is it? That's actually what causes people the anxiety, right? So it's like, if you want someone to call you, we need to be thinking, they're calling me, they're in love with me, they're blowing up my phone, they're all about me all the time. And then moving through the anxiety or the worry or the fear that that causes. Being with yourself, being with your feelings, learning how to do this is also part of this whole journey. Learning how to not self-abandon and not self-reject when you're doing your conscious creating. Because those are the two things in love and relationships that I've noticed over the years of all the hundreds of people that I have helped who have gotten successful at this. They have learned to be with themselves when they used to. Things would happen with people that would cause self-abandonment, that would cause a lack of self-awareness and cause self-rejection. We learn not to do that either. Like, yes, doing a mental diet, thinking of what you want, persisting in it, that is the thing to focus on. But it's all the other things that begin to happen for people like this client also that you really have to learn to move through. So what began to happen with her is that she was doing her affirming. She was thinking her thoughts, and a lot of things began to happen. He began to change. Then he went from one version to another. She was in like what I've always called like the Twilight Zone moments where it's like everything was working, everything was changing, then nothing was happening. She also had people in and that were part of his family that didn't like her. They were changing. It was all happening. And then it kind of went dark, right? So I was there to support her when she wanted to get off the horse, so to speak, when she wanted to go into self-abandonment, self-rejection, and we instead had to stay the course, okay? Her success story is actually pretty lengthy and long, so I'm not going to go into it, but these are the bullet points. And this is what helped her get really successful. It wasn't like doing a bunch of affirmations to cover up something that was going on and trying to like self-soothe and make something happen. No, it was deciding what she wanted, affirming for the version she wanted, getting specific, changing her thoughts, doing the mental diet because her thoughts create, still living in the end of what she wanted, and then moving through all the things that would happen and all of the feelings, all the situations, all the stuff that would come up, learning to still do affirming through that, not self-abandon, not self-reject, right? And like you guys, like as I just said, for me over here, that I'm the facilitator and the assister of a sister, and I always hear that I'm like a sister. Okay, how cute. Me over here, it's like, wow, she really, really did that. Now, I say a lot, the actual practice of doing this is something that a lot of people don't ever do in their lifetime. And a lot of people fall victim to the automatic thinking, automatic mindset, what their minds always thought, who they've always been, who other people have always been, who he's always been. Oh yeah, just going to move on to the next. Maybe I'll just, never do this and never get married, never be in a relationship and just be alone. Nothing wrong with that. But if you do truly want something different, right, then we have to create the thoughts that adhere to the reality of your choosing. That is it. So if you're living in the end with no movement, if you're living in the end seeing nothing happening, and you're living in the end, the first thing you think of is they don't like me, they don't want me, he doesn't like me, she doesn't like me, you don't want me. We have got to do a mental diet. We have got to think new thoughts because your thoughts are impressing your subconscious mind. Look at it this way. Like all the people that you've created, they live within your subconscious mind. Like they're little people. Like Logan has these little people that we put in cars, right? That they all kind of like look the same. With our remodel, his toys are all over the place, or else I would if I find it, I will use it in a video. Okay. But like all the people are in your subconscious mind, like little, I've used highlighters. I've used pens. Right now, I have these lovely pastel pens that I like a lot. So let's use these. There are people in your reality that you are creating, that you are feeding thoughts to. And it just means that we need to persist in thoughts of new people, new versions for them to show up that way. That is it. That's all we're ever doing, because your reality is an illusion. You are living in it. It is a projection of you, and it's a projection of who you've created. So to really sum it up here, get specific on what are you affirming. I do not encourage you to just like live in the end of some place, like I'm in the relationship now, without doing a mental diet, right? As part of my story with my specific person, who is my husband, I was living in the end, yes, of being married before we got married, but I was still affirming. I was still thinking thoughts about this is what's going on. This is what we're doing. This is what he thinks. This is who I am. This is my reality. This is my reality. I can have this. It wasn't like living in the end of being wifey and then having a bunch of stuff go on I didn't like. No. You want to be thinking, I am the wife, I am the person, I am the girlfriend, I'm in the relationship, and then this is what's happening. So I intend that this video clears that up really and gives you some insight into what you've been doing, like maybe where you can catch yourself on getting more strict about the mental diet and knowing that nothing matters outside of you. Your circumstances outside of you have nothing to do with what you're thinking unless you think that they do. So no matter what has happened with your SP, no matter what is going on out there, you can still rectify all of it based upon where are you currently thinking, where are your thoughts currently placed on them? Like who are you deciding that they are? You get to decide. It's your reality. It's all not real anyways, theoretically, from an energetic perspective, but we need to focus on what you want in order for it to become real and for it to harden into fact and change with people. Okay. So you guys, this is exciting, isn't it? That you can recreate anyone and do anything, that it just comes down to you. It comes down to what are you projecting, and your projection comes down to what are you thinking? Okay. So make today awesome. Like I always say, go out, just like have a great week. Decide that your week is great and that this is your year with your SP, that you are manifesting it. You are creating it. It's fun. You can have it. You're doing it right. You got to be affirming for it to happen. Bottom line. Okay. I'll see you guys in my next video. Have an awesome week. Bye.